Welcome GeoTrig, this is 8-6, Law of Cosines. The essential question is, what is the law of cosines and when can you use it? Let's begin. So here's your law of cosines. It's a lot like the law of sines. We can use it on a triangle and find measure of any angle and measure of any side. But it's a different formula. And there's 3 different formulas. And there's a lot more to it. Yep, here they are right here. So if you want a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. And there's a lot of stuff going on here, but if you look at those, you kind of see the pattern going on here. So you got one side equals the addition of the other two sides squared, and then minus 2 times each of those other two sides, times the cosine of the angle that corresponds with that side. So there you go. You just have to write that down, maybe memorize it. Why does this work? Well, it uses the Pythagorean theorem. So again, we're gonna do an altitude right here. We call that h. So it cuts it into 2 triangles that are right triangles. All right, here. So I'm gonna make right formula here and use side a. So that's side a squared. The hypotenuse equals the 2 legs squared. It's going to equal h squared plus c times x squared, or c minus x squared. All right. So if we got that much down, well, let's expand this c minus x squared. So that's going to h squared plus c squared minus 2 times cx plus x squared equals a squared. And then we can create another formula on the other side of the triangle. So I can say b squared is going to equal x squared plus h squared. All right, and I'm going to rearrange this so that I can say h squared. H squared is going to equal b squared minus x squared. It's going to equal h squared. No, I'm not going to say that. I know my x squared plus h squared equals b squared. So I'm going to rearrange this equation on a. So a squared equals h squared plus x squared plus c squared minus 2cx. Okay, so h plus x squared is going to equal b squared. I'm going to substitute that in. Plus c squared minus 2 times c times x. Well, what does x equal? Well, no, x, we can create another equation using this sine of a is going to equal, well, not the sine of a, it's going to be cosine of a. It's going to equal the adjacent over hypotenuse, so x over b. I can rewrite that as x is going to equal b times the cosine of a. And I'm going to substitute that in for x right here. So I get a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2 times c times b cosine of a. And guess what? This formula right here, it's the same thing that's up here, except b and c were rearranged. But it's effectively the same formula. So that's how you derive that. It's using Pythagorean theorem. Well, when can we actually use this? Well, what do we need to know about the triangle? Well, when you have 2 sides and the included angle. So in the format of side, angle, side. Or you can use it when you have all 3 sides. So those are the 2 cases. Now, what's kind of neat, we talked about the law of sines and cosines. These cover 2 different types of information. So if we know this type of information over here on the left, we can use the law of sines to find the rest of the angles and the rest of the sides. If we know side, angle, side, or side, 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 we can use the laws of cosines to find the rest of the angles and sides. So basically, this will cover pretty much similar cases what you'd see when we're trying to prove congruent triangles. So there you go. Let's do some examples. Pause the video. All right, find b to the nearest tenth. So to find b, well, b's right here, and I know I have a side, an included angle, and another side. So I'm going to use one of those formulas. And I don't know these by heart, so I'm going to bring them over here. We're going to bring that one, and I'm going to bring it over here. So we're going to say b squared is equal to a squared, and we'll call, well, this will be a, and we'll call this c. Doesn't really matter, but a, so 22 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 22 times 10 times cosine of b, which is 44. All right, so I'm going to plug all that in. This is something you have to use a calculator. Now what I'm going to do this time is I actually got a calculator emulator for TID9. So I'm going to show you how to work this out. I'm going to 22 squared plus 10 squared, and I know that's 100, minus 2 times 22 times 10, not times 11, times 10, times, let's see, cosine, make sure I'm in the right mode. Ooh, see, I'm in radian mode here, so I'm going to switch this to degree. Hit enter, save that. So I'm going to go cosine of 44, close the parentheses, and hit to do, I just want a decimal, so I have to hit the diamond first, and I get 267.49. So 200, I get 267.49, but that's what b squared equals, so I have to square root both sides. When I square root that 267.49, it's going to be square root of 267 and 49 hundredths, and I get 16, and nearest tenth is going to be 16.4. So b equals 16.4. That's my answer. Let's do the next one. Pause the video. All right, this case I know all the sides, and I got to find measure of angle V right here. I'm going to just call that, I'll call that big V. So I got to use another formula. Again, I'm going to copy one of these formulas here. So it doesn't really matter which one. Okay, just to keep track. So it's going to be V, and that's TU. So, or TU right here, be our B, and then this could be our A and our C because it doesn't matter. So 4.4 squared equals A squared, which is going to be 7.1 squared, plus C squared, 6.7 squared, minus 2 times 7.1 times 6.7 times cosine of what I'm trying to find, V. All right, so let's do some math here. What's 7.1 squared? 7.1 squared is going to be 50.41. 4.4 squared. Okay, 19.36. 6.7 squared. It's equal 44 8 plus 0.89. 44.89 minus 2 times all that, so 2 times 7.1 times 6.7. That's going to get you 95.14 cosine of V. All right, so doing some math here. Okay, combining all these numbers right here, what do I get? I get 50. Okay. I'm just doing it on a calculator to make sure I do it right. 95.3, and I'm going to end up subtracting that from 19.36. So I'm just going to go 19.36 minus 95.3. Okay, negative 75.97. So I'm going to get negative 75.97 equals negative 95.14 cosine of V. And the next step, I got to divide it by negative 95.14. And I get, okay, 0.798. So 0.798 equals the cosine of V. So that's going to be the inverse. So inverse cosine of 0.798 can equal V. Plugging that into the calculator. So do inverse cosine 0.798 is going to be 37 and its nearest tenth of a degree. So 37.06 is 37.1. My final answer is V equals 37.1 degrees. That's it. That's it.